Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. की जय। गोलोकेर प्रमदान हरिनाम संकीर्तन जय की जय। परम विजय श्री कृष्ण संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। हरे नाम हरे नाम हरे नाम केवलम कलो नस्ते 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 जय ओम विष्णुपाद परम सकल राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्रीशम परमाराध्य परम पूज्य पाद वैष्णव शिरोमणि गौर प्रियजन कृष्ण प्रेम भक्ति दत्त परित पावन श्री गुरुदेव की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परम सकल राजकाचार्य इसकन प्रतिष्ठा विधि संस्थापकाचार्य वैष्णव शिरोमणि गौर प्रियजन पतित पावन भजरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री गुरु वर्गापति उद्धार की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भद्र गुनाथ जीव गोपाल भक्त दास सत गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नामाचार्य शील हरिदास ठाकुर जी की जय। अनंत कोट वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। परम दयाल श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। प्रेम नाम संकीर्तन एक जनक प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम श्री सच्चिदानंद स्मरण गौरंग श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु गौर हरि महावरनाय अवतार की जय। गोलोकेर प्रमदान हरि नाम संकीर्तन जग की जय। जुग धर्म हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। बृहत मिदंग ट्रांसलेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेवा की जय। ग्रंथराज स्मरण भागवतम महापुराण की जय। हिताय गौर हरि परमानंद हरि बोल। All glories to somebody bodies, Krishna. All glories to somebody bodies. All glories to somebody bodies. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru Shri Guru. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Gaura Govinda Saminiti Namini Gaura Gaganya Gana Gotra Baluharam Guranga Guratama Gopara Kalpa Viksham Gopala Gadarati Jadi Singh Gaura Govinda Rishikam Varam Satata Namami. Narayana Namaskritya Narochevam Narotamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayat Mudiraye Vede Ramayane Cheva Purane Bharati Tata Advante Chamari Cha Hari Sarvatra Giyate Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayati Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Dharma prajita kaitavutro paramanirma saranam satam Vedyam vastavam astravashivadham taputrayamanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Paririshwar Sadhyurudhya Varjatitra Kritivi Shushushu Vistatkanat Nigamakalpataror Garitam Phalam Sukamukhat Amritatrava Sangitam Pivata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Murahorasika Bhuvibabuko Anarthopasamam Satcha Bhakti Yogam Adokyaji Lokasya Janato Vidansakre Sarvata Sangitam Yasham Vesunyamanayam Krishna Paramapurushe Bhakti Rupadyate Punsa Sokamoho Vayapo Srimad Bhagavatam Puranamalam Yadvashnamanam Priyam Yasmin Parangam Syame Kamalam Gyanam Paramagiyate Tatro Gyana Viragavaiti Saitam Naskarmyam Avriskrutam Tatsruvan Supatan Vicharano Paro Bhaktya Vimuche Naro Arthayam Brahmasutranam Bharatartho Vinirnayo Gayatri Vasyarupasau Vedartha Paribrurito Sarva Vedeti Asanam Saram Saram Samadrutam Sarva Vedanto Saram Srimad Bhagavatam Ishyate Tadrasamrita Trutasya Nyanyatra Sradarde Kachi Krishna Bhakti Rasa Shiva Bhakta Bhakti Veda Sashavite Paramama Chari Veda Upanishade Janmadhyasyatam vayar itaratas Chatir swaviga swara Tenne brahma hridaya adikavaye moyanti jasuraya tejo varimridam jata vinimayo jatra trisargo mrisa dhamna svena sada nirastakvakam satyam param dhimai. Translation. O my Lord, Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in the fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reaction of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in a transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Puran propounds the high truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is the reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such a truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. O experts and thoughtful men, relish my Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Shramvadam Swagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantastuhya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Surisatam. To hear about Krishna from the Vedic literatures, or to hear from it directly through the Bhagavad Gita, it is self-righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. Nasta Preshwa Bhagrishu Nityam Bhagavata Seva Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavatir Nastiki. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge And as he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in devotional service of the Lord. Tadarajas tamo bhava kamalobhasdayaschai chaitaitera navedan sitam sarve prasidati. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion of ignorance, and thus material lusts and avarice are diminished. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata bhagavat tattva vijnana mukta sangha sajayate. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the signs of God perfectly. Vidyante hridaya grantis, chidyante sarva samshaya, chiyante chasakarmani, drusta evadmanishvari. Thus, the Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of the material affection and enables one at once to come to the stage of asamshayam, samagramam, understanding of the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the signs of Krishna. Hare Krishna to one and all. Welcome to our daily glorification or Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam and the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This should be a daily activity, a daily sadhana. We should always remember that the Supreme Lord, in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the holy name, is with us. He's giving us shelter. Because in this world of darkness, we need the light. Nobody can survive in the darkness. We need the light. When this light is there, like when we get up in the morning, when the night is over, the sun rises and dispels the darkness of the night, and we feel confident in moving around and performing our daily duties. Similarly, unless we become free from the illusion, darkness which prevailing in our heart due to material existence, due to sinful activities, we don't know what's right and what is wrong. As much as when there is sunlight, we're very confident in moving around. We can discriminate the right path, the wrong path. We can see the danger in front of us. We can avoid dangers. And we feel protected. There's nothing hidden. There's no danger hidden. We can see clear in front of us. And we perform our duties with great enthusiasm. That's because there is light, there is illumination. But when it's dark, we can never be properly situated in performing our duties. In fact, a general rule, most people in general, they work during the day. In the daytime, we have more businesses, more activities, more events, because the daytime. So, this world of illusion of darkness, that darkness prevails in our heart, that ignorance, to know what's wrong and right, we need to approach Srimad Bhagavatam. The teaching given in Srimad Bhagavatam is the words of Supreme Lord. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam is spotless Purana. And it's directly the breathing of the Supreme Lord. Bhagavata comes directly from the lips, lotus lips of the Supreme Lord. Bhagavatam is the breathing of the Supreme Lord. Because, like, I recite this verse every day. Maya Mukta Jivanai Krishna Smrti Gyan. Jivere Kripala Kaila Krishna Veda Puran. The forgetful, conditioned living entities in this material world, they've been completely allured, they've been completely covered up by Maya, Maya Mukta. In other words, they have been enchanted by Maya. Maya is very attractive to the conditioned souls. Yes, because Maya is eternal. Servant of Krishna is Krishna's own potency. Krishna said, Devi Shaguna Mai. Devi Shaguna Mai. Maya is acting under the direction of Supreme Lord. Maya Jakshina Prakriti Suete Sacharacharam. The actions of Maya that makes things viparita, make things perverted. This is energy of the Supreme Lord, external energy of the Supreme Lord, and it is acting, is working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Just like a powerful using his power. The power is not independent. The power is exhibited by the will of the powerful. So, Maya Mukta Jvenai, the jivas, living entities who have been captured by Maya, fascinated by Maya, not knowing that Maya is actually ignorance. Maya is what is not. It's meaning Maya, what is not. And we often recite this analogy of mirage, seen as water in the desert. Or just like having dream experience with no factual. And being captured by this external potency of the Supreme Lord Maya, the living entities are victims in this situation in the material world. Just like when the blazing fire is there, the flyers, insects, the flying, you see the dazzling of the effulgence fire, the effulgence of the fire, and they think to be, it's very attractive, and they think it is an enjoyable object. But when they come in contact with that blazing fire, they get burnt. So the living entities in the material world, they victims of illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. And they don't know the alternative. They try different alternatives, which are all material, but the problem is spiritual, not material. The problem can only be solved with the spiritual understanding, or the problem can be solved spiritually, not materially. Therefore, all of our efforts, our endeavors to solve problems in this material existence, that we're trying to make the world a better place in different ways, with different institutions, but it can never be so. This has been going on since time immemorial. This creation itself is eternal, temporary but eternal. Sometimes manifest, sometimes unmanifest. So basically, it's like chew the chewed. Chewing the chewed, you won't get anything. So by trying those things over and over, generations after generations, trying to solve the problems politically, economically, scientifically, in so many ways, by creating so many isms, capitalism, communism, or even by engaging in pious activities like philanthropy, all these things. What to speak about this? Even by undergoing severe penance, austerities, by developing mystic yoga, we can never solve the problem of the existence, which is birth, old age, disease, and death. Those are the major problems: birth, old age, disease, and death. Birth is not a pleasure. You never seen a child being born, smiling, happily, coming out. No. Both mother and the child are in severe pain, experiencing severe pain. So birth is not fun. Then old age, of course, each one of us know, and we've seen also, old age is not fun. When somebody reaches old age, so many problems, so many diseases, so much bodily discomfort, ultimately, you know, death takes place. And the living entity, although is Anandamoy Vyasat, is always after pleasure. But because the so-called pleasure in this mature world is a pleasure derived from sense gratification. And the senses are the body. This body is some sort of senses, sense organs, working senses and knowledge acquiring senses. This body is a machine made of senses. And when this body becomes frail, old, useless, powerless, in other words, with the senses now, they become powerless. Although the living entity has that intense desire to always enjoy, but you can't enjoy because your enjoyment depends on the senses, bodily. It's the bodily enjoyment, means sense enjoyment. But now the sense cannot give you any more pleasure, and you become all frustrated. Not only you don't get pleasure, but you get so much suffering. So old age is not enough. It's not fun. Then disease. Pointless to say about the disease. We don't want diseases. Look what's going on at the moment. This global epidemic, COVID-19. What can I say? Everybody knows. It has created now over 2 years, 2 years or more. We have experienced so much challenges, issues. People are dying, people are living, losing their lives, economically, socially, psychologically. The society has been tremendously affected by this. So, and we have individual diseases, even beside the pandemic, of course. We have so many diseases. In fact, this mature body is said to be temple of diseases. Ruga Mandir. Ruga means diseases, Mandir, temple. Temple of diseases, mature body. Nobody who has accepted this mature body is free from diseases. And of course, finally, the scientists, materialist people, dividing so many means, to stop death. And they know obviously they can. They can. Although sometimes they make people believe in post-death check. But when it comes to death, they can never say that we're going to stop one day death. No. But what they're trying to do, they're trying to find a means to make people live longer or look younger, like cosmetic surgeries, all these things, many cosmetic products, But this all temporary. And in course of doing this, people also lose their lives. Perhaps they could have lived longer by undergoing this, artificial process, just so that They think of because they're in the bodily concept of life, they're thinking, I'm this body. So if this body is young, I'm young. If this body gets old, I'm old. See, this bodily concept of life. We're not this body. The soul in his pure state, the soul is always ever young. Soul is young. For the soul is no birth, old age, disease, and death. See, that's why it's very necessary, because we don't want those things. But why we don't want them? Because factually, we have nothing to do with these things. These things are, they are just for the body. The body is affected by this old age, disease, old age, birth, old age, disease, and death. The soul is beyond that. The soul is Satchidananda. The soul is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. Whereas the material world is just the opposite. Material world means material consciousness. Thinking I am this body. I have taken birth. I'm gonna get old. I'm gonna go through different phases of life. Identification with it, bodily identification is ignorance. But if you become transcendentalist means you become spiritually mature, realized, then you know the reality, you know your true identity. But as long as we don't know this, we are full of anxiety because we are thinking, well, this body, we're going to die. And majority of people, they think, okay, I'm going to die and finish. There's nothing after that. Nothing beyond death. So I'm describing this very important because Bhagavatam, we're discussing on the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, text number 1, I recited. And we're going to be discussing on this verse because all the truths, all the teaching of Bhagavatam, they all sprang from this verse. This verse is like the code, like Vedanta Sutra. One statement has so many meanings. And especially Srimad Bhagavatam, like I said, Krishna Tulya Bhagavat, Vibhu Sarvashraya Pratisloke Pratyakyare Nana Artha Khai. Srimad Bhagavatam is as good as Krishna Tulya Bhagavat. Vibhu Sarva Ashraya. He is unlimited Supreme Lord and the shelter for everyone and everything. Sarvashraya. As the Supreme Lord is inconceivable or inconceivably great, nobody can claim to understand the Supreme Lord fully. In fact, even Supreme Lord himself, it is said, he doesn't go to the limit of his greatness, he can understand. For instance, Anantadev, who is Supreme Lord himself, he has been singing the glories of the Supreme Lord Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, but he hasn't come to the end. He is Supreme Lord himself, Ananta. He's been speaking the transcendental knowledge since time immemorial. He has come close to the end. And there will be no end. Supreme Lord is unlimitedly great. He is unlimitedly great. Still, his glories, his opulences, everything about the Supreme Lord, his sweetness, ever increasing. This is amazing. If it's something has a limit, we can say, okay, it's going to increase. But something has no limit, but still ever increasing. This is inconceivable. So, we can never understand Srimad Bhagavatam fully. We cannot understand the Supreme Lord fully, but by His causeless mercy, if we surrender unto Him, we accept the reality that we are eternal servant, loving servant of Supreme Lord, Jivera Sropa Hoy, Krishna Nitya Das. When we realize our constitutional position as a loving servant of Supreme Lord, this service means loving service. There is an adjective, loving service. No service like in this illusory world. Service is similar to kind of exploitation or kind of business. I do some service because I'm expecting something in return. No. The service rendered to the Supreme Lord, which is our constitutional position, is motivated by love only. In fact, we exist because of love, because Supreme Lord is the embodiment of love. And we exist because of love, and our existence, the purpose of our existence, is to interact with the Supreme Lord, to be engaged in loving transactions with the Supreme Lord. That's the purpose, only purpose of life. Otherwise, the Supreme Lord is one. He doesn't need anything. So when we realize this, Jivera Sopa Krishna, that's eternal. We have eternal, perfect, loving relationship with Krishna based on devotional service, Suddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. And when we are fortunate enough, by the grace of the Lord, the grace of the spiritual master, we become able to swim in that ocean of Bhakti, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sindhu Ocean. That is the reality of life. So we're not mortal beings. We're not originally, we're not subjected to birth, old age, disease, and death. This is because of illusion. So in this verse of Bhagavatam, it said that by the Supreme Lord, by His will, even the great sages and demigods, great personalities in this material world, sages and demigods, they are also placed into illusion. They're bewildered by this illusion. They're affected by this illusion. As one is bewildered by the illusory representation of water seen in the fire or lens in the water. Only Lord Narayan, Lord Krishna himself, is free from illusion. Otherwise, everybody else, even the great devotees, sometimes, by the will of the Lord, may become covered by the energy, external of the Supreme Lord. Of course, in case of the great devotees that need to see us, it's just for the sake of pastimes of the Lord, for temporary, for some time. But the point is that anybody can be covered by Maya. either because of our karma phala, because of the reaction of our own karma, or by the will of the Lord. But Supreme Lord is Master of Maya, is Maya Tista, and we are Maya apostle. We are dominated by Maya. The Supreme Lord is the Master of Maya. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Andakar. In fact, Maya is the absence of the Supreme Lord. If you don't accept the Supreme Lord, then we are an illusion. Just like the bird owl doesn't care about the sun, but it's not the fault of the sun. The sun is there giving light, the owl doesn't want. Similarly, when we become unfortunate, we don't want the presence of Supreme Lord, which is like light, which is like effulgent sun, and then we're in the darkness. So, it's the message of Bhagavatam. So, how to come out of this? Maya Mugda Jivenaya Krishna Smriti Gyan. Jivere Kripalaka Krishna Veda Puran. In order to revive our knowledge, because we are Satchit Ananda, we are we're eternal, full of knowledge, but that knowledge, for the tiny living entity, that knowledge sometimes is covered by Maya. Because we're very tiny, and Maya is the full energy of the Supreme Lord. So by the grace of the Supreme Lord, we can revive that knowledge, that remembrance of Him. When we are captured by Maya, Nahi Krishna Smriti Gyan, we have no remembrance of Krishna. Nahi means no remembrance of Krishna Smriti Gyan. Smriti means knowledge, remembrance of knowledge of Krishna. Nahi Krishna Smriti Gyan. Can remember Krishna with no knowledge that Krishna is there. So in that case, it's just like owl, that time we're in the darkness. But when we remember Supreme Lord, and we establish our relationship with Him, at that time the Supreme Lord is present with us, then there's no more darkness. So, this is by hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, by glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, we can get this enlightenment of transcendental knowledge, and that time, that is said, Atapite Devo Paramujadvaya Prashada Lishanu Grihita Ivai. Janati Tatvam Bhagavan Mahimma. Lord Brahmaji says in Srimad Bhagavatam that, oh Lord, who can understand you? Who can understand your greatness, your nature, as your divine nature as a Supreme Lord, cause of all causes? This can never be understood by scholarship, but it can only be understood to that person who has received a particle mercy that emanates from the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Padam Bhujadvaya, Prashada Lesha, that tiny drop of mercy that emanates from the glorious lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Janati Tattvam, that person can understand your greatness. Janati Tattvam, Bhagavan Mahimmo. He can understand, he can acquire the knowledge of the Supreme Truth, the Absolute Truth, and the greatness, Mahima, of the Supreme Lord. At that time, that individual living entity, after receiving the mercy of the Lord, he understands the greatness, the true divine nature of the Supreme Lord, the absolute position, Ekoli Krishna Arasaba Brittu, that Lord Krishna is the only master, Ekoli Krishna Arasaba Brittu. In Chaitanya Charitamrita it said, Krishna is the only master and everyone else is a servant. Everyone else means even Krishna himself, his second body. That's Balaram, Baladev. Balaram and Baladev, same with Krishna. They differ only in bodily color. But they have the same nature. But Baladev always places himself as the foremost servant of Krishna. And it is said the love of Krishna, because of this relationship of servant is based on love. Based on love. And this love for Krishna is so wonderful that it makes even those who are superior of Krishna or equal to Krishna, equal with Krishna, superior and inferior, they all claim to be servant of Krishna. The effect of Krishna Prema. Krishna Prema Adbhuta, Krishna Prema. Krishna Bhav. This love of Krishna is so amazing, wonderful. It makes everybody Krishna Das. Therefore, Jivera Sopa Krishna Das. So when we receive the favor of the Supreme Lord himself, his cause, his mercy, we can understand and be sorry for him. But one thing is, Krishna, no matter what you do, Krishna is supremely independent, completely independent. Nobody can impress Krishna. In fact, it is said Krishna, Supreme Lord, always keeps himself hidden. Krishna has no business to show, look, I'm Krishna, I'm Supreme Lord. No. And in fact, because if somebody is fortunate to understand Krishna, surrender to Krishna, Krishna becomes obliged to the person. Even it is said that Krishna can easily award liberation, salvation, but he hardly gives on bhakti, because that means he is giving himself to you. Because the Premi Bhakta, the highly elevated devotee of the Lord, Sudha Bhakta, they control Krishna. Aham Bhakto Paradhina. Krishna tells Dhruva Muni. It is said, it is known in all the scriptures of the world that Krishna, Supreme Lord, is Swatantra Bhagavan, supremely independent. Is above everyone. Asamato Madhurya Samyana Injani. Mata Paratarana Netkin Chit Asti Dananja. Krishna said, nobody equal to or superior to Krishna. This is a fact. The whole world knows this. But here Krishna said, Aham Bhakto Paradin. Oh, Brahman, Dhruvasa, I'm not independent. I depend on my devotees. I depend on my devotee. This is amazing, inconceivable nature of Krishna. Although a devotee considers himself insignificant, but because the devotee is completely surrender. Is a symptom of a complete surrender is Krishna Kasharana. Is the chief symptom of a devotee is complete surrender to Krishna. The chief symptom of sadhu. But Krishna becomes servant of such a devotee. Not only that, Krishna depends on that devotee. And so many examples, so many pastimes of Krishna like this. How Madan Gopal came to a poor sadhu of Sanatana Goswami. Krishna Vraja is the son of a king of Raja, Brajesha Tanayas. But he prefers to come and live with Sanatana Goswami, who has no residence. Nothing. So many cases are there. How Krishna becomes completely subservient, dependent on his pure devotee. So, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, we can understand him, and then Mami Vaye Prapadyante Mayamitam Tarantite. Then we become, because Krishna is master of Maya, he can order Maya to set you free. You're no longer under the grips of Maya. So, the message of Srimad Bhagavatam is that in this Kali Yuga, the only way to find the light, to be situated in the light. Here, light means knowledge. Where to take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Bhagavatam says, chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Way to trust Bhagavatam, because this Bhagavatam is spotless Purana. Mahaprabhu says, Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesh Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavan Ramya Kvachidupasana Prajavadhu Vajena Jakalpita. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamaram Prema Pumarthuman Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatralanava. This is a conclusion of Mahaprabhu's teaching. Prema Purushottama, the best of all the personality of Godhead. Who is wonderfully merciful, wonderfully magnanimous, wonderfully munificent. He says, Brajesha Tanaya, son of Nanda Maharaj, king of Braja, Krishna, he is to be worshipped. He is the ultimate object of worship along Vrindavan down. That means the worship of Krishna performed in Vrindavan. Because in Vrindavan, Krishna is essence of Godhead, Bhagavat Sar. Krishna Vrindavan, known Vasudeva Krishna, Mathura, known in Vrindavan. So, in Vrindavan, Krishna is served to the best. There's no higher service than the service rendered into Krishna in Vrindavan Dham, in his own Dham, in his own abode of Vrindavan. The service there is absolutely unique, and that service is rendered by inhabitant of Vrindavan, Brajavadu, Varjena Jakalpita. Krishna is served by the inhabitant of Vrindavan. That service, that's the worship of Krishna. And this is possible. We get all the information. If we're serious to achieve this, all the information are in Srimad Bhagavatam. We get information from there. Therefore, Mahaprabhu said, Srimad Bhagavatam pramanamamalam prima pumartama. Because Srimad Bhagavatam, Granth Raj, is spotless Puran, the formula found in Bhagavatam, the instructions, teachings from Bhagavatam are pure. And by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, by glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, prima pumartama, only then we develop Krishna Prem. And the teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam says that this holy name of the Supreme Lord, especially in this Kali Yuga, the Supreme Lord is come in the form of holy name. The chief result of chanting Hare Krishna is Krishna, to get Krishna Prema, nothing else. To develop pure love, Suddha Bhakti, pure love for Krishna. And this all by hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge only. Bhagavatam rejects all cheating religions. So therefore, when you deliberate on this, you think of it seriously, our only hope is this. We can hear Bhagavatam, but sometimes we cannot understand Bhagavatam. But what to do now? See, the process to glorify Bhagavatam. To glorify Bhagavatam. And every day we should have this attitude. These are what we need to do in our sadhana. So every meditate on Bhagavatam and holy name. When I can get opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam in association of Bhakti Bhagavat, we can never speak of Bhagavatam without speaking of Bhakti Bhagavat. There are two Bhagavatas, Granta and Bhakta. We should pray for this. Because when Bhakti Bhagavat is speaking Bhagavatam, you hear that. That's a glorification of Bhagavatam. He's not speaking just philosophy, but he's glorifying Bhagavatam. And by hearing those glorifications, those glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, we become purified. We develop Krishna Prem. Sruta Kita, we can, by hearing Bhagavatam constantly, then we can see the Supreme Lord, who is there as a Paramatma, as a heart. So this is what we need to do. We glorify Bhagavatam and we chant and glorify the holy name. In this connection, you see, Supreme Lord Niskala Yuga as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he brought this holy name, Golokera Pramadhana Harinam Sankirtan. This holy name belongs to, his Nam Sankirtan belongs to Goloka Vrindavan. But Mahaprabhu was so incredibly merciful, he brought it down here. So, and nothing else. This is the process. Golokera Pramadhana Harinam Sankirtan. And we should develop rati, attachment to the holy name. If you think of it seriously, holy name is everything. Holy name is all we need. Holy name is Swatantra Bhagavan, Supreme Person of Godhead, holy name is means as well as goal of everything we do in spiritual life. Sadhana and sadhya, holy name. Nothing else, holy name. So, you see, all great devotees, they associate with Supreme Personality of Godhead. They know this. In fact, they themselves are the embodiment of holy name. Rupa Goswami and all his followers, pure Suddha Bhaktas, Gaurapiya Janas, they are all embodiment of holy name. Because they are all expansion of Mahaprabhu. They are no different. Mahaprabhu said, when you see difference between him and his devotee, he's actually, he lives in hell. So, those are chariots. They constantly, 24 hours, engage in Nam Sankirtan. Mahaprabhu was doing this and all his associates. So why did they write so many bhajans, so many songs, poems, bhajans? What's the need if the holy name alone is enough? Why did they write this song? Because they are very humble, and they know that there's no difference. Abhinatvam Nama Namina. There's no difference between Krishna and his name, Krishnami and his Nam, no different. And he said the only way they by writing those bhajans, they are glorifying the holy name. Those they are known as Nama Bhajan. It's not just like, oh, I can chant Hare Krishna. I've got my mantra now. I can chant Hare Krishna. No like that. No out of pride. Nam is Supreme Person of Godhead. Nam should be glorified, should be worshipped as we do worship the Supreme Person of Godhead. Similarly, we can't just pick Bhagavatam. I'm going to read this knowledge there. No. Bhagavatam must be glorified. So this is the secret. We don't hear Bhagavatam just to become philosophically knowledgeable, whatever. No, we're worshiping Bhagavatam. It's just when you go to Mother Ganges, you glorify Mother Ganges, you can offer many prayers, but the simple way, and what everybody does, you offer the very Ganges water to the Mother Ganges. That signifies that you glorify Mother Ganges. You know, you're worshiping Mother Ganges. So, the holy name, Srimad Bhagavatam, must be glorified. By chanting Hare Krishna, we are glorifying the holy name. We should have this attitude. I'm chanting because I'm glorifying the Supreme Personality of God and for my holy name. Know that I'm able to chant. A jiva, Vatani jiva cannot chant the holy name. If the holy name doesn't manifest on your tongue, you can never. Because holy name is Swatantra Bhagavan. You can never bring the holy name under your control. You can never bring the Supreme Lord under your control. The Supreme Lord is not your order carrier. He's Supreme Personality of God. He's Swatantra, supremely independent. So how can you think, I'm chanting, you can develop this pride, I'm chanting. We have to pray to the holy name, glorify the holy name, so that the holy name can always vibrate on our tongue. Holy name can take place in our heart, in our mind. Similarly, when we hear Bhagavatam, we read Bhagavatam, We should not be unnecessarily proud that we know Bhagavatam. No. We are glorifying Bhagavatam. Oh, Bhagavatam, please manifest to me. Manifest to me. Your instructions are there, but I'm not able to understand them. I'm not able to apply those instructions. Please. This is the secret. And we must glorify Bhagavatam in the holy name. Every day, every moment we can. This is the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. They've instructed us to do this. If you do this, it's undoubtedly sure that will capture Guru and Gauranga in your heart. However difficult it may be in the power of devotional service, but if you receive the mercy, we can we get great protection, and we also get inspiration and deep realizations, and we can make tremendous progress toward the ultimate goal of this Bhakti Yoga Nam Sankirtan, which is Krishna Prem. Adosha Data Tatu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Nata Nivriti Ruchiya Sakti Bhava and then Prem. Chronological order. We can reach there if with humble attitude, with the praying mood. This part of Bhajan, Krishna consciousness known, Bhajan Pata, is based on praying. We don't have to be unnecessarily arrogant, thinking ourselves, capable or able to do sadhana just by mere studying the scriptures and just chanting Hare Krishna. It is said that one can go on chanting Hare Krishna for many, many births, but if it's not done with a proper attitude, we would never get the result, desired result with Krishna Prem. It is said, what is the proper attitude is what the sadhus, Guru Sadhu Shastra teaches. We should glorify holy name and Bhagavatam. So we stop here for today, the end of our session for today. So much can be said. We're going to be continue always. We're going to continue day after day, every day to do this. It's a reminder. It's a reminder. Basically, I've been speaking practically the same thing. And our knowledge is like that. Our knowledge is nothing new. Everything the same. But we need just to hear over and over and over. And so that we can, one day, by the grace of the Lord, we become purified and we can apply it. We can realize it. And I have found that this beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, this verse, as I said, we can go on, discuss this verse the entire life. Everything you're going to read further in Bhagavatam, they all connected this verse. Why? Because this verse is the practical realization of the absolute truth, which is the ultimate goal of life. Once you get this realization, nothing else to be achieved. And everything else in Bhagavatam is connected to this, the original verse. So, very simple. It's not complicated. The message, we should glorify and hear Srimad Bhagavatam in association of personal Bhagavatas, at least loving devotees. We come together, and we discuss, we hear from Srimad Bhagavatam. If you were very fortunate enough, then Bhakti Bhagavat is there. Example, it is Sejuna Misharanya. They were all great advanced devotees. They were pure devotees, headed by Shanuka Rishi. They were genuine devotees. And their intention was noble. They wanted to do things for the welfare. That's the nature of the devotees. A devotee always wishes well for the entire world. Like Mahaprabhu's little example of Vasudeva Datta. He wanted to accept all the sinful reaction of the conditioned souls, even go to hell, just so that all the conditioned souls this world can be delivered. That's also Vasudeva Datta is said to be the incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj. Haridas Thakur too. Those very, very special devotees, they only wanted the welfare of the entire creation. Beginning from Advaita Chara himself, Supreme Lord. Because he is kind of more of Bhakta, he can more of Bhakta Rupa, or Bhakta, more of Bhakta Avatar. In that mood of Vaishnava, topmost Vaishnava ceremony, his heart bleeds to see the suffering of all the people of this world. Therefore, he took that vow, determination to bring Krishna here so that Krishna could share with Acharya Prabhu constantly. Whenever Mahaprabhu used to ask him to ask for boon, he used to say, Mahaprabhu, deliver the whole world. Give Prema Bhakti to everyone. It's a model of the devotees. Those are great devotees. So, all right. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Bhagavatam Mahapurana ki jai. Param Vijayati Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yaga ki jai. Gaurari Pramanandi Hari Hari Bol. Thank you one and all for your association, for attending this program, glorifying the Grantaraj Bhagavatam and the Holy Name of Supreme Lord. Hari Hari Bol.